In the quiet solitude of their ashram, surrounded by the gentle whispers of the forest, the sage Markandeya and his devoted wife Marudvati lived a life of piety and peace. Yet a profound sorrow shadowed their days, a silent ache that no amount of meditation or ritual could fully soothe. They yearned for the laughter of a child, a son to fill their home with joy and continue their lineage of Dharma. Their hearts, heavy with this unfulfilled desire, turned towards the ultimate source of all boons, the great Lord Mahadeva. Day after day they performed severe penance, their bodies growing frail but their spirits burning ever brighter with unwavering faith in the compassionate Lord of Kailash. Their prayers, pure and selfless, ascended through the realms and reached the tranquil abode of Lord Shiva. He saw the depth of their devotion and the sincerity of their hearts. Appearing before them in a blaze of divine light, his presence illuminated the entire forest and the air thrummed with celestial energy. Markandeya and Marudvati fell to their knees, their eyes filled with tears of overwhelming gratitude and awe. They had sought the Lord, and the Lord had come to them. With folded hands and voices trembling with emotion, they expressed their singular, heartfelt wish, the blessing of a son to complete their lives.
You shall have a son as you desire, but you must choose. Would you have a son who is foolish and wicked, but blessed with a long life of 100 years? Or would you choose a son who is virtuous, intelligent, and a beacon of Dharma, but whose destiny is to live for only 16 years?
The choice laid before them was a crucible for their souls. A long-lived son, devoid of virtue, would bring them only shame and sorrow, a hollow continuation of their name. A virtuous son, however short his time on earth, would fill their lives with immeasurable light, love, and pride. Markandeya and Marudvati looked at each other, their eyes reflecting a shared understanding forged through years of spiritual partnership. Without hesitation, they made their decision.
O Mahadeva, we choose the son of great virtue. Let his 16 years be a testament to righteousness and devotion. Such a life, however brief, is infinitely more precious than a century of darkness.
With Lord Shiva's blessing, a son was born to Markandeya and Marudvati. They named him Markandeya. From the moment he entered the world, it was clear he was no ordinary child. A divine radiance seemed to emanate from him, and his eyes held a wisdom that seemed far beyond his tender age. He was the embodiment of the boon they had chosen, a child of immense virtue and intellect. His laughter was like the chiming of temple bells, and his presence brought an unparalleled joy to the ashram, filling the void that had once echoed with their silent prayers. His parents cherished every moment, their love for him growing deeper with each passing day. As Markandeya grew, his exceptional qualities became even more apparent. He was a loving and obedient son, his every action guided by a profound respect and affection for his parents. He absorbed the sacred teachings of the Vedas with astonishing speed, his mind a fertile ground for knowledge and spiritual insight. The complex philosophies that took other sages years to master, he grasped with an intuitive understanding. He was not just intelligent, he was wise. He saw the divine presence in all of creation, in the rustling leaves, the flowing river, and the silent stones, treating every being with kindness and compassion. His parents watched him, their hearts swelling with a mixture of immense pride and a quiet, ever-present sorrow. They saw the brilliant light of his soul, the purity of his heart, and the sharpness of his mind. He was everything they had prayed for and more. Yet the shadow of Lord Shiva's prophecy loomed over their happiness. The knowledge that this precious life was limited to a mere 16 years was a secret burden they carried. They resolved to fill his life with so much love and knowledge that his 16 years would be richer and more complete than 100 spent in ignorance. Markandeya, unaware of the finite nature of his lifespan, lived each day with vibrant enthusiasm and a deep, innate sense of purpose. He found his greatest joy not in childish games, but in devotion to the one who had granted his existence, Lord Mahadeva. He learned the sacred mantras dedicated to Shiva, and his young voice, chanting the powerful syllables of the Mahamrityunjaya mantra, would resonate through the ashram, creating an atmosphere of profound sanctity.
Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrit Or Mokshia Mamritat.
His devotion was not a ritual. It was the very breath of his life, a constant, loving conversation with the great Lord. The heart of Markandeya's world was the Shiva Lingam that his father had consecrated within their humble ashram. This sacred symbol was not merely a stone to him. It was the living, breathing presence of Lord Shiva himself. Every morning, before the sun's first rays touched the earth, Markandeya would rise and gather the freshest flowers and purest water from the river. With meticulous care and a heart overflowing with love, he would perform the morning puja. He would bathe the lingam, adorn it with fragrant blossoms, and offer bilva leaves, his small hands moving with a grace that spoke of deep, ingrained reverence. His devotion was a beautiful sight for all to behold, a pure expression of a soul connected to the divine. He would sit for hours before the lingam, his eyes closed, lost in meditation. He spoke to Lord Shiva as one would speak to a beloved friend and protector. He shared his thoughts, his joys, and his simple, childlike wonders.
Oh Mahadeva, thank you for the warmth of the sun. Thank you for the love of my parents. Please guide me always on the path of Dharma.
His parents, Marikandu and Marudvati, would watch him from a distance, their hearts aching with love and the painful secret they held. As the years passed, Markandeya's knowledge of Shiva traditions deepened, and his devotion intensified. He learned every story, every hymn, and every sacred name of Lord Shiva. The tales of Shiva's compassion, his power as the destroyer of evil, and his grace as the ultimate benefactor filled Markandeya's mind and soul. He saw Mahadeva not as a distant, fearsome god, but as the source of all existence, the loving parent of the universe. This understanding shaped his character, making him kind, fearless, and compassionate towards all living beings, for he saw the spark of Shiva in every one of them. The bond between the child and the deity grew stronger with each passing day. The Shiva Lingam became his sanctuary, his confidant, and his ultimate reality. In times of doubt, he would seek clarity before it. In moments of joy, he would share his happiness with it. His life revolved entirely around his love for his parents and his unwavering devotion to Lord Shiva. This pure, unadulterated faith was a shield, protecting him from the anxieties of the world, though he remained blissfully unaware of the great trial that destiny had prepared for him. The years flew by, each one a precious pearl strung on the thread of time. Markandeya blossomed from a gifted child into a wise and radiant youth. He had just celebrated his 15th birthday, and the dawn of his 16th year was approaching. As the fateful time drew near, the secret sorrow that Marikandu and Marudvati had contained for so long began to overflow. They could no longer conceal the anguish that etched lines of worry onto their faces. Their smiles became forced, and their eyes often filled with unshed tears as they looked upon their perfect, beloved son. Markandeya, ever perceptive and deeply connected to his parents, noticed their growing melancholy. He saw the shadow that had fallen over their once joyful home. He observed his mother weeping silently in corners of the ashram, and his father growing distant and lost in thought. Unable to bear their sadness any longer, he approached them with gentle concern.
Mother, father, what troubles you so? Why do you look upon me with such sorrow in your eyes? Have I unknowingly done something to cause you pain? Please tell me so I may right my wrong.
Faced with their son's direct and loving question, Marikandu and Marudvati could no longer hold back the truth. The dam of their restraint broke, and the story of his birth spilled forth amidst tears and trembling voices. Marikandu explained the boon they had sought from Lord Shiva and the terrible choice they had been given. He told Markandeya that they had chosen a life of virtue over a life of longevity.
My son, your destiny, as ordained by the Lord, is to live for only 16 years. That time is now upon us. This is the cause of our unbearable grief.
Hearing this, any ordinary boy would have been struck with terror and despair, but Markandeya was no ordinary boy. A profound calm settled over him as he listened to his father's words. He understood. He understood his parents' selfless choice and the depth of their love. He understood the divine play of destiny. Instead of fear, a wave of immense love and gratitude for his parents washed over him. He comforted them, wiping their tears.
Do not grieve, my beloved parents. You chose a life of Dharma for me, and that is the greatest gift. And I have faith. The Lord who gave me this life will not abandon me.
With the truth finally revealed, a new resolve, ignited within Markandeya's heart. He was not someone to just passively accept his fate or, wallow in fear. His devotion to Lord Shiva, which had always been the very bedrock of his life, now became his singular focus, his ultimate weapon against the decree of destiny.
If there is any power in this universe that can alter the course of fate, it is the great Lord Mahadeva. I will devote myself to an even more intense penance, a final fervent appeal to Mahakaleshwar, the Lord of Time himself.
Seeking his parents' blessings, Markandeya prepared to travel to a sacred shrine by the sea, determined to perform his worship. His parents, seeing the unshakable faith shining in their son's eyes, gave their consent, though their hearts churned with a tumultuous mix of hope and fear. Markandeya journeyed to the coast and found a hallowed spot where a sacred Shiva lingam stood, forever washed by the waves of the ocean. There, he began his penance. He forsook food and sleep, his entire being consumed by devotion. The chanting of the Mahamrityunjaya mantra, the great mantra for conquering death, became a continuous, powerful vibration that seemed to merge with the roar of the ocean and the whistling of the wind, creating a symphony of pure, unyielding faith. Days turned into nights, and nights into days. Markandeya's physical form grew weaker, but his spiritual energy blazed with an intensity that could be felt by sages and seers in distant lands. Even the devas in the heavenly realms watched in awe at the devotion of this young boy who dared to challenge his own mortality through sheer faith.
My penance is not for power or for any material gain. It is a pure, loving plea for life, a testament to my belief in the infinite compassion of Lord Shiva. I am not just praying, I am becoming one with my prayer.
Meanwhile, in his dark and orderly realm, Yama, the god of death, knew that Markandeya's time was drawing near. The cosmic laws were absolute, and it was his sacred duty to uphold them.
The laws of karma and time are binding for all, even for the gods. Markandeya's time approaches, and I must carry out my task, though, I confess, I feel a strange reluctance, for the boy's extraordinary piety is known even to me.
As the final day dawned, the shadow of destiny began to stretch across the land, moving inexorably toward the young devotee who sat by the sea, lost in his singular powerful prayer. The sun rose on the morning of Markandeya's 16th birthday. It was a day like any other, yet it was charged with an unspoken cosmic tension. The birds sang, the waves crashed against the shore, but a stillness lay beneath the surface of the world, a bated breath of anticipation. Markandeya, deep in his meditation, was aware that this was the day his preordained time on earth was to conclude. Fear did not touch his heart. His mind was a fortress of faith, his soul an ocean of devotion, and his only thought was of his Lord, Mahadeva. He continued his chanting, his voice steady and clear. As the day progressed, the air grew heavy, and a chill descended upon the shore. The sky, once clear and blue, began to darken as if an unnatural twilight had fallen. From the shadows, a formidable figure emerged. It was Yama, the Lord of Death, seated upon his powerful black buffalo. His presence was awe-inspiring and terrifying. He held his mace and the inescapable noose, the pasha, in his hands. His emissaries, the Yamadutas, stood behind him, their forms menacing and grim. They had come to escort the soul of the young Markandeya from his mortal coil. Yama approached the boy, his expression stern yet tinged with a hint of respect for the devotee before him.
Markandeya, your time in this mortal world has come to an end. I have come to fulfill my duty as ordained by the laws of the universe. Cease your prayers. Prepare your soul to depart. Do not resist, for no mortal can escape the grasp of time and destiny.
The Yamadutas moved forward, ready to cast the noose and claim the boy's life force. But Markandeya did not even open his eyes. He did not acknowledge the presence of the god of death. His focus was singular, his concentration absolute. He was in a different realm, a space where only he and his lord existed. Sensing the approach of the Yamadutas, a primal instinct for survival surged within him. Without breaking his meditative state, he reached out with both arms and wrapped them around the Shiva lingam. He hugged it tightly, pressing his cheek against the cold stone as if embracing Lord Shiva himself.
O Mahadeva, protect me. I seek refuge in you and you alone.
The moment Markandeya's plea for refuge echoed through the ether, the universe itself seemed to shudder. The Yamadutas, ignoring the boy's desperate act of faith, cast the celestial noose. But as Markandeya was clinging to the lingam, the noose fell not only around the boy but also around the sacred symbol of Lord Shiva. This act was an unforgivable transgression. It was an affront not just to a symbol, but to the Supreme Lord himself. The air crackled with an immense unseen power, and the ground began to tremble violently beneath them. In that instant, the Shiva lingam, which had been a silent stone witness, exploded with a blinding, cataclysmic light. The stone cracked open, and from within its core, Lord Shiva burst forth in his most terrifying and powerful form, Kalarimurti, the vanquisher of time and death. He was colossal, his third eye a blazing inferno of divine rage. His trident, the mighty Trishula, was held aloft, crackling with cosmic lightning. His roar of fury shook the heavens and the netherworlds, a sound that struck terror into the hearts of gods and demons alike. He had been disturbed from his meditation, and his beloved devotee had been threatened in his very sanctuary. Yama and his attendants froze, paralyzed by the sheer overwhelming power and incandescent anger of Mahadeva. The god of death, who inspired fear in all beings, was now himself gripped by a terror he had never known. He saw the fury in Shiva's eyes, a fury directed squarely at him for daring to lay his noose upon a devotee who had sought ultimate refuge. Shiva's form was magnificent and dreadful, his matted locks flying, serpents hissing around his neck, and his entire being radiating an energy that could incinerate galaxies in a heartbeat.
Yama, how dare you? How dare you cast your noose upon my devotee while he is under my protection? You have overstepped your bounds. You have violated the sacred law of refuge. You, the enforcer of Dharma, have committed an unpardonable adharma. For this insolence you shall face my wrath.
With a mighty cry, Mahadeva raised his Trishula, its points glowing with the fire of destruction, and aimed it directly at the heart of the trembling god of death. With the mighty Trishula aimed at him, Yama, the lord of Dharma, felt the chill of his own demise. He fell from his mount, prostrating himself on the ground before the enraged Mahadeva.
Forgive me, O great Lord, forgive my transgression. I was merely performing my duty, upholding the laws of time and karma as they apply to all mortal beings. I did not intend to dishonor you. My duty is to maintain cosmic balance. If mortals can defy death through penance, the order of the universe will crumble. Please have mercy, Mahakala.
The Devas, led by Lord Brahma and Lord Vishnu, appeared in the sky, their faces etched with grave concern. They had witnessed the unfolding drama and understood the cosmic crisis at hand. If Yama were to be destroyed, the cycle of life and death would cease. The worlds would become overrun with beings who could not die, leading to chaos, suffering, and an ultimate collapse of cosmic order. They added their voices to Yama's plea, appealing to Shiva's sense of cosmic responsibility. O Mahadeva, Brahma began, Yama acts on your behalf to maintain the rhythm of creation. While your devotee's faith is supreme, the laws of nature must also be upheld. Lord Vishnu, the preserver, stepped forward, his calm presence a soothing balm on the fiery atmosphere. My Lord Shiva, he said with profound respect, your compassion for your devotees is legendary and absolute. Markandeya has proven that faith is the ultimate power. Yet Yama's role is also essential for the preservation of the worlds. We implore you to find a path that honors the devotion of the child without destroying the fabric of cosmic law. There must be a way to satisfy both Dharma and your grace. Their collective appeal was a plea for balance, a request to temper divine fury with divine wisdom. Hearing the pleas of Yama and the other gods, and seeing the genuine remorse in the god of death's heart, Shiva's anger began to subside, like a great fire being calmed. His terrifying form softened, and the blazing inferno in his third eye dimmed to a compassionate glow. He looked down at Markandeya, who was still clinging to his feet, trembling but safe. He then looked at Yama. He understood the necessity of cosmic order, but he also had to honor the absolute faith his devotee had placed in him. A decision formed in his divine mind, one that would create a new precedent, a new category of being.
Yama, I shall spare you, but this boy, Markandeya, has conquered death with his devotion. He will not be subject to your laws. He will remain 16 years of age forever.
At Lord Shiva's declaration, a wave of relief and joyous wonder washed over the assembly of gods. Yama, his life spared, bowed in deep gratitude, accepting the divine verdict. He rose, and with a respectful glance at the young boy who had bested him, withdrew from the shore, his purpose there nullified forever. Markandeya, hearing that he was granted the boon of eternal life, slowly released his hold on his lord. He looked up at the compassionate face of Mahadeva, his eyes overflowing with tears of pure, unadulterated gratitude. He fell to the ground, prostrating himself again and again, his heart so full of love it felt it would burst. Lord Shiva gently placed his hand on Markandeya's head, a gesture of infinite blessing.
Rise, my child. Your devotion has moved me. You have shown the universe that faith, pure and unwavering, is the highest truth. It can overcome the greatest of obstacles, even time itself. You shall be known as a Chiranjeevi, one who lives eternally. You will forever remain a youth of 16 years, a symbol of my grace and a beacon of devotion for all of humanity to follow through the ages.
Markandeya stood, his small form radiating a newfound divine light. He was no longer just a mortal boy. He was an immortal sage, a living testament to the power of bhakti. With his hands folded in prayer, he made a vow.
O my Lord, my protector, my everything, this eternal life you have granted me, I dedicate it to you. I will spend every moment of my immortal existence singing your glories, spreading the message of your compassion and guiding others on the path of devotion. I will be your eternal servant forever and ever.
And so it was. The gods showered celestial flowers from the heavens, and a chorus of praise for Lord Shiva, Har Har Mahadev, resounded through the three worlds. Markandeya, the immortal child, stood beside his lord, a shining example of how profound love for one's parents and unshakable faith in the divine can earn the greatest grace. He lives on, even today, a timeless sage wandering the earth, his story an eternal source of inspiration, reminding everyone that with true devotion nothing is impossible, and that the compassionate embrace of Mahadeva is the ultimate refuge from all fears.